Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of In Between the Stitches. As always, I'm your host, Brady Wilson, with my co-host, Chase Olschwanger.
What's going on?
And for some hockey and NHL playoffs, we have Zac Babb.
I remember when we did this last year, and it felt like, oh my goodness, the playoffs are here. And now it's been a year, and the playoffs are here again.
Yeah.
I'm just like, what the heck, man? That got here way too fast.
Time does fly. I guess when were we having fun this past year? I mean, Rangers won the World Series, so I was having a lot of fun, but
Yeah, I think so.
we were knocking your Astros out. So I don't know if you were having much fun.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry, Zach.
It's all good.
No, Zach's an Astros fan that we like. He's not one of those guys on Twitter that bullied Emily Jones. He's one of those nice Astros fans. And just again, if we have an outburst about the Rangers, it is going into the top of the ninth, as it's been another bullpen masterclass. And we'll talk about that later. But Zach, Stars 51, 21, and 9. One more game tonight versus the Blues.
Mm-hmm.
And we were just about to get into this. We're like, well, let's save it for the show. Let's not hatch everything out before. We beat Seattle, and we've obviously clinched our division.
Mm-hmm.
But hockey's a little more like basketball, where the divisions don't matter because it's seeding in the conference.
Not really. I mean, now, well, I say not really. It does if you're the overall one seed, because
President's Trophy.
the weird way that it works is if you are a one seed in your division, you get to play one of the wild card teams. You don't have to play, because hockey doesn't do an exact 1v8 like the NBA does. They used to, but they ditched that, I think, for the 2014 playoffs. Now they have this kind of divisional playoff format. So you take the two division winners, the higher division winner, which obviously is the conference, because there's only two divisions per conference. The higher division winner gets the second wild card team. So you have the playoffs, the top three teams in each division qualify, and then the next best two, regardless of record, get in.
Interesting.
So, conference winner plays the lowest seeded wild card. The other division winner plays the highest seeded wild card, and then 2v3 in each division.
So you could get a 2 versus like a 6 or something.
Kind of, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It's not a perfect. You kind of have 1v6, 2v7, or 1v8, 2v7, sort of. I mean, mathematically it's weird. Mathematically it could work out to where that doesn't happen, but typically, since they introduced this format in 2014, it's essentially been 1v8, 2v7, and then the rest is a jumbled mess.
Okay. And we were looking at this because, last week, or like a Saturday, it's kind of what it feels like. We're doing another episode almost back to back.
Yeah.
But Saturday we talked about how Vegas was in the 8. And we really don't want to see Vegas in the first round. We'd rather avoid them. And then now the Kings are the 8 seed.
Yes.
So I assume that are they locked into the 8?
They're not. They're still as of recording time of this episode today, with 2 days left in the season, everything is still in flux. The Stars have not clinched the West. Vegas has not clinched the 8. Heck, even, you look at things and, no, I guess Winnipeg has clinched home ice over Colorado. Edmonton's going to get home ice against either Vegas or Los Angeles. Nashville's locked into the 7, essentially, because this division plus wildcard format, again, it's all over the place.
Right.
The Stars tonight against the Blues, if they get a point in any fashion, they clinch the West.
Okay.
All they need is 1 point.
Which would either be a win or
go to
overtime.
Go to overtime. Okay. If you go to overtime, you clinch the West.
Even if you lose.
Yes.
That'd be funny. We're going to overtime and we've clinched.
Yes, it would be hilarious. Now, the reason we haven't clinched yet is because the stupid Vancouver Canucks can't stop winning, and so
except for us.
Both of us. Well, that's the thing. Not all season. Because Vancouver has the tiebreaker.
Okay. Oh. Okay.
So, because we played them 3 times and we've lost twice.
Right.
But we shut them out in the most recent game.
Right.
So, because of that, Dallas has 111 points in the standings right now with 1 game to go. Vancouver has 109 points in the standings with 1 game to go. So, if Vancouver wins in any fashion and gets to 111 points and we lose in regulation, Vancouver wins the West via tiebreaker. So that's why you still need again, if you even get a point, if you take the game to overtime, you've clinched.
Okay.
If you lose in regulation, you need Vancouver on Thursday to lose to the Winnipeg Jets in any fashion, and then the Stars would clinch the West. Now, if the Stars lose in regulation and Vancouver wins in any fashion against Winnipeg on Thursday, Vancouver wins the West.
Did you say that Winnipeg already clinched, though?
Winnipeg is already clinched. They can't move.
So I don't know if hockey is similar to NBA in the fashion where, like for the Mavs, for example, last two games, they already clinched the 5 seed. There's no reason to play Luka and Kyrie.
Yes.
No point.
Yeah.
Will Winnipeg rest their players?
Yes and no. Because hockey's different because there's so many players.
Right.
You've got an active roster is 18 guys plus 2 goalies. And with how that system stretches into the minor leagues, and you've got guys, all across the country with their minor league teams, it's not exactly like you can, all right, we're going to scratch, Jamie Benn and Tyler Seguin and Matt Duchene, and we're going to call 3 guys up for the minors. Doesn't really work that way in hockey because of these roster limitations on size. So what they may do, they'll still play, but what they may do is they wouldn't give them the ice time that they normally would.
Kind of like switch the lines?
Kind of, yeah. So your first line might become more akin to your third line.
Sure.
In terms, because, you have, in like your top defensive pairing, like Miro Heiskanen averages about 22 minutes a night. They may only play him for 16.
Okay.
In that game, using Stars hypotheticals.
Sure.
Now, obviously, the Stars still have a lot to play for, so they're probably going to be playing as normal.
Sure.
But Winnipeg will probably do that on Thursday. They'll probably dial back the ice time for their star players.
So it's really on the Stars.
It's really on the Stars to do something and collect a point. Because and hockey too is the quintessential sport of, we can take care of our own business.
Right.
We got to take care of our own business. You hear it in sports a lot, but hockey players, till they die, will say, well, the reason we didn't do this is because we didn't take care of business.
Right.
So,
what does it look like for Vegas and the Kings? Just because because obviously Vegas and LA can fluctuate a little bit, I assume.
yes.
That's not set in stone. And I assume that we would rather face the Kings
Yes.
than face the Vegas Golden Knights, the defending champions.
The Kings have been flailing, and Vegas is much better than a 7 or 8 seed because Vegas, loaded up at the deadline. And then they did the classic old, let's put someone who's injured on long-term with a giant contract. In this case, it was Mark Stone this year. He's out with a lacerated spleen, so we're going to put him on long-term IR so his contract doesn't count against the cap. We're going to make all these trades up to the cap to
load up,
and then the cap doesn't count in the playoffs for hockey. You can have as much dollars as you want.
So Stone can come back.
And they're essentially
so smart.
And that's the thing, is like Vegas last year when they won the cup, if there would have been a cap in the playoffs, they would have been about $12 million over the cap. And they're on track to do that again this year.
Who cares? They're winning.
Yeah,
if you win
that's the thing. It's not against the rules. It's perfectly legal.
Is there a reason why they're at the 7-8 seed?
Because injuries. Mark Stone has been out for 2 months. Some of their other high-end players have been out for a while as well. I do think even after the trade deadline, there was a little bit of time of getting the new acquisitions who were very good, like Tomas Hertl and those guys, acclimated to playing with each other. So I think that just took a little bit of time to gel, but you're kind of seeing it happen in real time.
Right.
They're figuring it out. Mark Stone was cleared to practice again last Tuesday, and the guys who they got at the trade deadline are stringing wins together, which, to answer your question, Brady, is why they've jumped L.A., is because Vegas has suddenly been on this tear, and L.A. is not flailing, but they're not exactly doing good. They're playing about 500 hockey right now.
Sure.
They're an 8 seed. They're an 8 seed.
They're an 8 seed. They are an 8 seed, and Vegas is not, and that's the thing.
I don't mean this to sound like, we don't want a Florida Panthers
I was
situation.
gonna say, Florida was not an 8 seed.
Yeah.
But what you'd rather, if you're talking about on paper,
Yeah.
you would definitely rather face the Kings roster
Yes.
than face the Vegas roster. And
Correct.
especially since the Stars' history against Vegas. And we've talked about how this isn't our only year because of how young our team is and how the veterans still have not shown much slowing down.
Yeah.
I assume everyone else is under, like all the Pavelski and Sagan and Ben are under contract for next year.
Yeah.
So basically the entire squad will be running it back. I think Tanev is on it expiring, but he may want to.
He may rerun. He may get renewed. That's to be seen. But how just to kind of put a bow on this section with the Vegas and Kings stuff. So Vegas right now, both teams have one game left. Both teams are playing the dredges of the NHL for their final game. Vegas is playing the third to last place Anaheim Ducks. The Kings are playing the second to last place Chicago Blackhawks. Now, one game left for both teams. Vegas has one more point than LA. So all Vegas needs to do is win, and we don't play them.
Okay.
So we're rooting for them tonight.
Yes.
Or tomorrow, whatever they play.
They play Thursday as well. It's 2 Thursday games.
Okay.
Is it 2
tomorrow.
West Coast? Oh, heck yes. Yeah, it's 2 West Coast Thursday games. 9 p.m. and 9:30 starts,
Nice.
respectively.
Let's go.
Late
Final
night hockey.
games, literally the final 2 games of the NHL regular season. So, yeah, now the only way LA can jump Vegas.
Win, loss, I assume.
Yes. Vegas has to lose in regulation, and LA has to win.
So if Vegas goes to overtime, Vegas gets it.
Yes. LA has to win.
Okay.
They have no other choice.
They lose, it doesn't matter. Vegas loses, the Kings have a chance.
Oh, ooh, you know what? Regulation. No, whoa. Don't hold me to that because I'm looking at the tiebreaker, and they're dead even on the tiebreaker.
So what is that? What is that second?
What's the
what's
next-
the secondary tiebreaker?
What's the next time?
Let's see what the secondary
I assume
tiebreaker is.
conference record or
I'll
division.
look this up. Give me one second.
Probably. If it's any similarity to the NBA.
We would definitely rather face the Kings. And again, we say this in the Kings, and the Kings take the Stars 7 and win. but
Right.
It's
Yeah.
not that the Kings are a bad team. It's just that if you're giving me a choice, gun to my head, as Max Kellerman once put it, fate of the universe on the line. You got the death beam pointed at us. I want the Kings.
I want Iguodala.
I do not want to face Vegas in that first round. And the Stars, have been kind of having a middling month. Last week we talked about they had lost a game. Now they've won a game, so they're kind of,
Oh, the first tiebreaker is regulation wins. Regulation and overtime wins is the second tiebreaker. I think I had that backwards in my head.
So basically, hockey's weird.
So that means that LA has the tiebreaker.
Okay.
So that means
But
that
I'll tell you this though.
So that means if LA wins and Vegas loses in overtime, we play Vegas. Vegas drops to the 8th seed.
I'll tell you this though. Vegas doesn't want to play us. I mean, who's the 2 seed?
Vancouver. Both
Okay.
two teams.
So
well, that's the thing, though, is because of this weird division format, Vegas has 2 options. They can't get the technically 7 seed because it's a wild card spot.
It's like, who do they
They
rather-
would jump into their division. So if they don't play us, they're not playing Vancouver. They're playing Edmonton, which in a way I think they would prefer because Edmonton has its flaws. I mean, they're a good team, don't get me wrong, but they have their flaws. So, you have arguably the deepest team in the NHL in the Dallas Stars. I mean, we have 5 guys who have 20 or more goals right now.
Yeah.
And, Edmonton is basically just Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl.
Right.
So and that's the thing too. I think it would be part of me is wondering too if Vegas does want Dallas because they have the experience and they beat us last year
Right.
and they know they can beat us again. And I mean, we haven't beaten them in the regular season. We're 0-3 against Vegas in the regular season.
Yeah.
So because of that, part of me is wondering if Vegas is thinking we'd rather just face the Stars and get it over with because if we have to go get beat up by Connor McDavid for 7 games and then we play the Stars, we might be out of gas by then.
Right.
So part of it might be get the Stars and will live or die by how we do against the Stars in the first round.
That's interesting about hockey because hockey is a more physical sport than basketball. So hockey, you can get beat up in that first. I remember that's what happened against Seattle for us. Was we just got they came out swinging.
Yeah, they played Seattle. That's exactly it. Seattle,
and we beat them.
Yeah,
but
we were just out of gas.
Yeah, they took it out of us physically.
Yeah.
And so then we just, didn't have much left. And so and so did the Wild. The Wild beat us up pretty good too. So it's, you don't want to face one of those physical teams. I don't know if the Kings are one of those physical teams or not, but I'd probably rather face the Kings. And they may win a game or two.
Yeah.
And we may sweat a little bit, but I feel like we'd win that series. And so then if we won and we beat the Kings, we'd face Vegas if they won.
Yes.
In the second round.
So basically, if the Kings win, and again, these two games are going to be going on almost simultaneously. So it'll be some good double box watching Thursday night.
We're rooting for Vegas to win.
We're rooting for Vegas to win. Because if Vegas wins, it's done. We're playing LA.
Okay.
If Vegas loses in OT, now if Vegas loses in regulation, then all LA has to do is get a point.
Right.
All they have to do is take the game to overtime, and they play Edmonton and we play Vegas. Now, if Vegas loses in overtime, then we need LA to lose somehow. It's a lot of moving parts right now.
A lot of moving parts, which is always, I think, fun for sports. I don't think sports like it when it's. I don't think the men in charge like it when everything's decided with the week, the last weekend of the series or the season, and everything's decided and nobody cares what happens.
Yeah.
But it's more fun when you have all these moving parts and who plays who, and I'm sure every team other than Vegas probably wants to avoid Dallas just because of how good we are. But and we will have home ice for almost the entire season.
We'll have home ice. Well, if we take care of business tonight, then we have home ice the entire, at least through the conference finals.
I assume we were good at home this year.
I
don't know what
we
our
were.
home
Well,
record
we were good at home, 25, 11, and 4. This is the best road record in the history of the Dallas Stars, Minnesota North Stars franchise.
Really?
26 wins on the road this year.
That's a lot. That is a lot of wins.
So they're a good team in both buildings, but they have been exceptionally good,
which is key
on the road.
Hey, we just saw with the Rangers. I mean, they put it on that ring, the Road Warriors. I mean, you win on the road, you got a good chance to win in the playoffs. But
real quickly, Zach, before we conclude, talk to me about the potentials in the President Trophy. I know
it's locked.
Is it locked?
It's locked.
Rangers got it.
The Rangers got it.
Okay, because I remember a couple of days ago it was the Rangers, the Stars, the Canucks, and the Canes.
The Canes were all in the conversation. Florida kind of was on the outside too, but they needed a lot to break right for them. But
the Rangers locked it up.
It was basically there were 5 teams in the running, but the easiest route out of the pile was the Rangers winning game 81 and they won. So
they're a great team. Congrats to them.
I'm sure we will try to bring you back on.
Kind of like last year, just kind of have the updates.
We'll ask you each week to come on if you can't. We're not gonna hold a knife to your head or anything. But if you can make it, we will have Zach on for the next few weeks just to talk Stars hockey and help us, with the playoffs. Just because hockey, I think, was my most recent sport that I truly got into. So, then Zach's the expert here. So, thank you, Zach, for coming on. You may be here next week. You may not be. So
awesome. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Zach.
It.
And there goes Zac Babb, voice of the Mean Green. So now we move on to the Rangers. We needed to say this. I didn't want to interrupt Zach. 5-4. Davis Wenzel hit a double. First career hit. First career RBI. First career everything there. Yates Stillins 5-4, 2 outs in the ninth, 0-1 to Kerry Carpenter. So
I thought it was Josh Smith that got the double.
No, Smith goes out. It was Wenzel, I believe. Maybe it was Smith. Maybe it told me wrong. The app told me wrong, but
I saw it too. I could have sworn I saw lefty.
I don't know.
It was Smith.
Anywho, Dallas Mavericks, the other American Airlines Center team. They 50-32. The regular season is done. We're no mas for the Dallas Mavericks. 5th in the West.
50 wins. What did I say?
Okay. On the dot, you nailed it. We got game 1 at LA versus the Clippers. Luka's old nemesis. I feel like this is like one of the Sinister Six for Luka Doncic.
Right.
Is Sunday at 2:30. Obviously, I feel like we should win this series.
Yeah.
Strike 3. And that's ball game. Hello, win column. Rangers win 5-4.
Yeah, Yates is the closer going forward.
Yates shuts it down for the Rangers. I don't know why my mic, maybe it's just my audio, and I just think I sound... There we go. Rangers win in honor of the Yankees broadcaster, The Rangers win. The Rangers win. Anywho, Mavericks going into the playoffs. Chase, what are you thinking?
Listen, the way the regular season ended, you got to be so happy and so proud of this team from the way that they bounced back last year. And to go what I said was, I think it was the last, what did I say? I say this every week, but I'm trying to remember. I think the last 14 games, I said we need to go 11-3 to get to 50 wins to really secure that playoff spot, and they did. And I'm very, very happy. And the team in the last 18 games, excluding the last 2 games because we didn't play anybody, we're 16-2. So it's just unbelievable pace going into the postseason. But you're matching up against a team, like you said, who has had your number for the last few years. Yeah. And now, granted, this team is completely different than the Mavericks team, and same with the Clippers. But I'm looking forward to it.
Well, I don't know if this is going to sound weird or not, but we had a small technical difficulty, so I'll just explain kind of what happened. So we had the Ranger game on. I have a monitor in front of me. If you ever watched the draft show last year, you've seen the setup. So I have a monitor in front of me, and I had Fubo in one corner with the Ranger game. The bottom right corner, I had the little thing, hey, each segment, and then on the left side, I had the Adobe thing that shows our recording, and it has it stopped, because we've had moments where we had a couple where it stopped before, and we don't want that to happen. And Rangers won, and so I clicked off of it, and then it just stopped. It goes dead. It stopped recording, so we called Zach back in here. So I don't know if it's going to sound weird. My timer's running. The Adobe thing is kind of moving a little bit weird. I don't know if it's like there's going to be a big pause, but there was a big pause or like a big cut, and now there's just kind of this weird little monologue. That's what happened. So now continue with Mavs basketball. Zach just saved 20 minutes of an episode on hockey.
Yes.
So thank you, Mr. Zac Babb. But back to the Mavericks, as we were talking about just earlier. The Mavs are not the favored seed, but I feel like the Clippers are not happy to see us. And I think this is probably going to be one of the better series in terms of you have a star-studded roster with us. I mean, you have our core of, Luka, Kyrie, Lively, PJ, Gafford, I'm still using the night name, Flight 55. You have just a really good team versus another really good team. And you got Russell Westbrook and Kawhi Leonard and PG-13 and James Harden. And now none of those guys are in their prime of their careers anymore, but they're all still
fantastic players,
former all-star players, and that's nothing to sneeze at. So it's going to be a really good series. Now, the interesting thing for me is obviously our guards and forwards are going to play pretty well for both sides. What does their center position look like?
So they have Visa Zubac, who is very talented center. No all-star center. Very good center to have on your team. 7-footer, can match up with Gafford, height, size-wise.
What about Lively?
Lively is back. He is 100% participant in practice, which is great to see because they have off the bench Mason Plumlee, and Lively should jump out of the stadium arena with him. So I think what's going to come down to this game is that you're going to get, or this series, excuse me, what you're going to get out of Luka. You know what you're going to get out of Kyrie. You know what you're going to get out of Paul George. And you know what you're going to get out of Kawhi Leonard. Now, what's the supporting cast going to look like? If you have PJ Washington, Derek Jones Jr., Daniel Gafford, Tim Hardaway Jr., Jaden Hardy, etc., Dante Exum, if they all play well into the standards that they are capable of playing, I think the Mavs can win this series. I think they have the better depth. Now, the Clippers have a lot of star power. They do. And they're a very good team, very well defensive team. So
who's their coach now?
Tyronn Lue. He's still.
Is Tyronn Lue? Yeah,
he's still there. He's been there since we faced off in 2021. So listen, in 2020 even. So this series is going to be tough for both teams. And the goal that, I feel like everybody, it's very cliche to set for your team going on the road. You want to split in LA, right? You can't go in there expecting to win both.
Every coach, every manager, every person at the head of a team will always say, if you're starting a series on the road, get the split.
Right. Now, just find a way to take one. That's the goal. You take both. Like we were saying this the whole Rangers postseason. Find a way to take one. They did. They took both most of the time.
In Houston, yeah.
And
in Baltimore.
Right.
And Tampa
Bay. So find a way to take one. You come home. You got the advantage, right? You have the advantage. And the difference from the previous years to now, as like I said, the teams and what Luka said, because some reporter asked him, what differentiates this team from the previous years when he matched up against the Clippers?
He
Now,
said
there's
talent.
there's a lot of things, yes. But he said, we have
Kyrie. I mean, he's
not wrong. You have someone who
a co-star.
who is a superstar aside another superstar. You have a guy that has finals experience, playoff experience, hitting the biggest shot in potentially NBA history experience. Some guy that's always, as long as everybody stays, you got to stay healthy. Everybody stays healthy. But as long as this team can stay healthy, I really like our shot. And I'm very excited to see what this team can do.
See, Porzingis was a good co-star. Don't get me wrong. He was a good player, but he's
not a superstar.
He was injury prone, and he wasn't. Lukai is the way to go. And I think it's great that he seems so happy here.
Oh, he loves it here.
Because Kyrie has been very infamous for being a guy that ran himself out of Cleveland, ran himself out of Boston, ran himself out of Brooklyn. Right? He's run himself out of every place he's been pretty much.
Right.
And so the worry was when he was made available, I think we were doing the show at the time, yeah. And I don't know if I texted you, but I remember just going, "Oh, come on, Mavs!" Like it's when someone's released or made available in trade, I always will I'm like, well, I want my team to try to get in on that. Then they did, and I was like, oh.
Well, I remember it, and the Mavs were like a long shot, right?
Yeah.
Because the Mavs never do anything in free agency. No. Never.
But now we have Nico.
Yeah.
Pull up, let him cook. Like I'm just saying, like
he goes out, he gets Kyrie, and that's just the start. You don't make the playoffs, which is unfortunate, but it wasn't a good season. I mean, you brought him in with 30 games left, 25 games left, whatever it was. Just, weird fit. Needs more time to mesh. The team wasn't good.
I think the difference is the fact that you added the difference between this team and last year's end of the year team is Lively, Gafford, PJ, Jones. I mean, so many.
Listen, they tank for a reason.
You overhauled the supporting cast. And it's worked.
And the Mavs should only
Dante Exum back, who's hit some really big
he's
shots
been awesome.
this season.
Nico Harrison revamped Dante Exum's career.
Yeah.
He was overseas playing, and who knew if he was ever? He was a bust. He was a bust. He was a lottery pick for the Jazz. I think maybe the 5th pick. That obviously didn't work out. He's overseas playing, and Nico gives him a call, and he's just been an unbelievable role player, a guy that can give you good defensive minutes and can put up 10 to 15 a game.
He's been kind of what Grant Williams was not giving us.
But can control the ball.
Yeah. But I think that was also big, was getting rid of Grant Williams and realizing that experiment was not working. And,
I like the chance that they took.
And bringing in PJ, bringing in Gafford. I hate to get rid of Seth Curry because I've always liked Seth Curry.
Of course. I love Seth Curry.
I feel so bad because he's come here like 3 times now. We've traded him every single time.
Yeah.
But,
listen, I mean, it's on him. We brought him in here for a specific reason. That's to be consistent on the floor, hit your shots, and he wasn't doing it. So, you know what? Bye.
But the Mavs look really good. And looking at the rest of the NBA, I've always liked the NBA playoffs because it's kind of like my March Madness because everything's going on at once.
Right.
And there's so many games. It's always so much fun. And it's a series. I like series. I never really liked one-game playoffs.
Sure.
I've always liked a series.
Right, because a team can play bad, a team can play good, and then you're done.
It allows for a little bit of error, but maybe it's subject to debate. But anyway, play-in tournaments happened. Lakers obviously up. Lakers going to be what, the 8 seed?
Lakers are the 7 seed.
So the 7. Who's the 8? Golden.
So the 8 will determine on the game between the Pelicans and the Kings tomorrow. I think it's tomorrow. I'm gonna say it's tomorrow.
What happened to Golden State? They got knocked out.
They're done. So the way the plan works, I know I'm just rephrasing.
No, you're good. You're good.
The 7 and 8 will play, and the winner of that game just gets the 7 seed because they're the 2 highest seeds in the play-in tournament. The 9 and 10 loser of that game, Golden State, they're done. The winner plays the loser of the 7-8 seed because they were the higher seeds. So now, if the Kings beat the Pelicans, which they should, by the way, because Zion Williamson, I don't know if you saw, is ruled out in knee soreness yesterday after having 40 points against the Lakers. So not looking good for the Pelicans. So if the Kings win, they would lock the 8 seed.
And
Got to win 2 games.
7.
Lakers are 7.
Pelicans have to win 2 games. Or
The Pelicans have to win 1 game. They could have won yesterday. If they won,
So if the
they get 2 chances.
So Pelicans win, they're in.
Yes.
Kings win, they're in.
Yes.
It was 1 game.
Yep, 1 game.
Okay. And then in the East, what's going on in the East?
So the first games are tonight. Yesterday was West. Tonight it's East. It is the Sixers as a 7 seed hosting the Miami Heat.
And they're the 9?
Eight.
Or they're the 8?
Winner of that game gets the 7 seed and will play.
Okay, I got you. No, sorry, I wasn't really. I'm like, well, then what? Okay, so whoever wins the 7 and 8 game, they
Automatically get the 7 seed.
And the 9 and 10 play a game. The winner of that
Plays
will play
the loser. Yes.
I got you.
Yes.
That makes a lot
So
more sense now.
this is a big game
I
for
understand it.
the 76ers and the Heat, or the Heat. Winner of this game,
You're in.
you're in, and you don't have to play Boston until the Eastern Conference Finals if you make it there.
Who's the 9 and 10 in the East?
It
I
is
know
the
Hawks are
Bulls
1.
as the 9 hosting the Atlanta Hawks, who are 10.
So I figured the Bulls should win that game because I don't think the Hawks don't have Trae Young, do they?
They do. He's back.
He's back. So
I honestly think the Hawks will win this game, and then depending on who they play, I think they're done. But I think honestly, the Hawks, just with the tandem of Trae Young and DeJounte Murray, I think you can win. But then you play Boston first round and you're done. But I think they have a chance to get in.
get in, have fun with it.
Yeah. Get in.
Although Trae's probably leaving in the offseason.
You would think so. One of the two is most likely gone.
And I would want to make a note, Seth, a resident Spurs fan, really wants Trae Young for the Spurs because him and Wemby would just be a nasty duo.
He is a very good candidate. Very good candidate.
His idea for rebuilding the Spurs was he said, all right, here's what we should do. Sign Trae Young, draft Bronny, and then that make LeBron come to San Antonio, and now Pop has his new super team, and you win championships. But that's the play-in tournament.
Yeah.
And so playoffs will start the weekend then?
Saturday is the first games, but the Mavs don't play till Sunday.
Cool. So you get an extra day.
of rest.
Which is good because of our stars, and everyone's just probably a little banged up.
Yeah.
So
And even after, I'll go one more thing. The Warriors getting eliminated last night. It's going to be weird not seeing Steph Curry in the postseason.
oh, so sad.
And that dynasty is over officially. What a dynasty it was.
I think it's tough to say it's completely over. It's kind of like it's like a fire that's there's still some simmering,
Sure.
but it's pretty much
But
about to go
it
out.
leads me to my point. Klay Thompson, who was really bad last night.
Rumor does.
There's talks about Klay Thompson coming to Dallas.
Would you be in on that?
I would. If you get him for the minimum, obviously. Yeah.
So
Just be a better Hardaway.
So what's happened to him? He just hasn't. He just
Unless
fallen
he
off?
came back from the two hardest injuries to come back from, Achilles, ACL. I mean, it's tough to come back from. And he's still shown promise this year. He could go for 20, 30 any given night, and he did. Just didn't show up yesterday. But you put a guy on a team like the Mavs, and that's just a better Hardaway.
Yeah.
So
That big three is it's just gone. Draymond is about to
I bet
break.
Curry and Dre stay because they're in a contract, but Thompson's become an unrestricted free agent. And
He may re-up. I'd bring him into Dallas and just get rid of Hardaway.
sure, I just don't know if Golden State, as much as he can't give them anymore. They have 4 rings with him, but I don't know if Golden State's going to even want to bring him back. Unfortunately, yeah.
We'll see. And actually, this is where I think it's going to be interesting: is how good of a coach is Steve Kerr? Because to be fair, you've had one of the greatest teams in the history of the NBA.
Yeah.
So how good of a coach really are you? Because if you can like with Phil Jackson, he won with the Bulls to institute the triangle offense, and then won with the Lakers. Now you can say, well, he had star rosters.
Yeah.
Yes, but he won dynasties with both teams.
Yeah.
That means you're a good coach.
Oh, he's a good coach. No, people have him as the greatest coach of all time, and Phil Jackson. He's not the greatest coach of all time. He was. Listen, he's a good coach, but he was with Michael Jordan and with Kobe and Shaq.
His career with the Knicks kind of exposes his back, and I'd say the greatest coach is probably Pop.
At this point, yeah.
It's either him, Pat Riley, Phil Jackson, Doc Rivers. No,
not Doc Rivers.
Not Doc Rivers. I'm trying to think of anybody else that immediately comes to mind.
I think Spoelstra's got to be up there.
Not right. No, God, no.
He's got to be up there.
Not in the history of the NBA.
No. Well, yeah. I'd have him anywhere near I've had him in the top 10. The way that he can turn the role players that are nothing on somewhere else that come to the Heat. Max Strus, Gabe Vincent.
That's great.
Caleb
but
Martin.
How many championships does he have as a coach? Hasn't he only been head coach for the Heat?
2 or 3 then, right?
No, but he wasn't the head coach for those. Well, was he the head coach for those LeBron teams?
Yeah,
he was. So this is where my basketball.
And I don't know if he was 06 as well when we beat the Mavs.
This is where my basketball knowledge, the history will show a lack of. Okay, I didn't know.
I think he's got 3 rings.
Well, never mind. My point still. I thought he was. I don't know why I thought he was like.
No, he turned that heat culture turns
him.
the average role player into a guy that you can put on the floor for 30 minutes a game. And he's done that over the years. Like I said, Max Strus, Caleb Martin, Gabe Vincent, those guys have turned into nothing players into guys that can give you 20 points.
Oh, there was my lapse in knowledge that Spoelstra was the coach. I had no idea.
Yeah.
So then, I guess you had to put him on. Anyway, I think that's it for basketball.
Yeah,
I can't think of much else.
Yeah.
And
I mean, Go Mavs, next episode, it will be through
game
two. Because game 2 will be Tuesday.
So wait, Tuesday?
Yeah, because game 1 will be Sunday.
It's one Sunday, so why not do? It's not like baseball where it's you do 2 games and then off at travel day, then 3, then travel day.
Because they don't travel. Game 1 and game 2 are in LA.
No. That's what I'm saying is again baseball. If it's a 7-game series, games 1 and 2 back to back, travel day 1, 2, 3, travel day 1, 2.
You get days off in basketball. It's hard to play that many minutes and go back to back for playoffs.
Yeah, sure. Well, yeah.
When the schedule has flexibility,
I'm messing with the basketball.
listen, it's different for baseball because you're up 4 times at a game at the plate, and you may or may not be running. So,
anyway, speaking of baseball, Rangers win today. Need to update that 10-9 on the season, still first in the West. They can still go wire to wire. It is barely. They are making it close every night, but. Hopefully the Rangers can win tomorrow, take this series, then we go to Atlanta next. So,
who's on the mound for tomorrow?
That is what else is up there. As you saw, there's a little name up there named Jack Leiter. It was the first round pick of Chris Young's GM tenure. Now JD was still here during that, but this was the first pick under the Chris Young GM tenure, and he's debuting tomorrow. A little bit earlier than I expected. I expected him probably July maybe, but I'm not going to complain.
We're banged up. I wonder if that has that's the problem. That's why he's pitching.
This was kind of, thought of as the savior of the pitching staff when he was drafted. That was the first draft that I really watched because my team had the 2nd overall pick, and I wanted Jack Leiter. And, Pirates take Henry Davis. And I remember we were in Florida at the time. We were in a parking lot at Little Caesars waiting for the pizza to be done. And I'm sitting there watching, and I said, all right, timeout. The Rangers are on the clock here. If I make an outburst, my family just, disregard it. Okay. And then, Rangers select Jack Leiter. Yeah. I was fist pumping. I was so happy because he was who I wanted. And, I don't think he's been a disappointment, but there were just some things he's talked about maybe mentally that he wasn't there and he was, mechanically wasn't all there. So it's good to see him having a good start to the season and him getting to play in the major leagues.
And there was a lot of talks of him struggling in the minors, correct?
Yeah, because he got knocked off. He was a top 100 prospect, and he's fallen off. He fell off that list last year.
Yeah, but he's had a good spring. He's had a good AAA performance this year.
His last performance, he struck out 10.
Yeah.
His ERA is in the 3s.
I think it's a 3.7 maybe?
Yeah, something like that. But it's one of those okay, but he's limiting walks. And I'd rather you give up a single than a walk just because it may take more pitches to throw the walk. But Leiter's been pitching a lot better this year. And that's what's important. I mean, he's fallen to number 8 on our top 30. And let's look at the stats. I have him up here. He's 23 years old, 1-1, 3.77 ERA, 3 games, 2 of them starts, 14 and a third innings, 11 hits. So that's a lot. Well, no, 11 hits and 14 and a third. I don't know why I was blanking there. The key is 3 walks. 3 walks in 14 and a third. And he struck out 25.
Yeah.
So, whip under 1. But he has given up 4 home runs. So, he's getting hit a little hard, but pretty well in his few appearances in the minors, which has been at AAA, wasn't AA. So, and the thing was, he got an aggressive assignment too. Like, people didn't realize this is you don't usually they sent Rocker to high A. There's a reason for that.
Yeah.
That Leiter was probably, I figured he started out at high A. No, they sent him to AA, which I thought was kind of I know in people who, maybe don't realize because you play Road to the Show, you don't realize that you don't always just automatically go to AA. You will most likely go to low or high A to start your career. If you're a college prospect, usually you go to high A. If you're a high school prospect, you're probably going to rookie ball, and then maybe you finish up at low A, and then maybe you can get to high A the next year, right? Start at high A. But, that's just because high school guys like Brock Porter is still, I think he may be at Hickory now. But I know he started it down east. So he started at low A, and he was a high school prospect. So that's kind of the thought process is the high school prospects have maybe a higher ceiling because you haven't seen them in college. So maybe not. Whereas the college prospects are already a little bit more polished. You're already seeing the trend now in baseball, especially with Langford and Shanuel with the Angels, that the college prospects are getting the majors faster because they look at college as the minor leagues for them. That's kind of their low and high A. And then they sent Langford to high A for like a week, and he tore it up. So they okay, you're going double A. Tore it up. Okay, go to triple A. He won't tear it up here. Oh, he tore triple A up. So, that's the thing is that the college prospects usually can skip a level because they're college prospects. And that is seen as, and I'd say Rocker went to high A because he played independent ball. There was a medical issue. That was not Tommy John. He's already had that. But he went to high A, I think, just because they wanted to get his feet back under him. But Leiter was, coming off the season and Vanderbilt and, sitting in double A. It was an aggressive assignment. So 2 years at double A, been very meh. But I want to say he added a cutter or he scrapped. He did something different this offseason. He kind of was like, I was trying to find more mental clarity. And his dad, Al Leiter, was a phenomenal pitcher in the mid to late 90s, early mid 2000s. So, it runs in the family. He definitely has a good teacher and mentor to talk to whenever things go wrong. Sorry, my mic was cutting in and out there. But, yeah, again, one today, so that's important. You would like to take tomorrow. That way you don't have to split against the freaking Tigers.
Yeah, and we'll see how Leiter does. I mean, I'm not going to hold, to have a quality start tomorrow.
I'm hoping for...
You think there's a lot of pitch?
I'm hoping for 4 innings, 4 to 5 innings, 2-3 runs. Let's say 5 innings, 3 runs, maybe 4 to 6 hits, 4 or 5 strikeouts. Maybe try to get maybe 1 walk. I'm not expecting him to go out there in 8 innings of shutout ball and he's throwing a no hitter and no. But I'm expecting hopefully he can just maybe try to get through the 5th and
have a potential win.
Right.
That'd be cool.
Be in line for the win. He's taking Heaney's spot too, which is and I noted this. I think you did too. Was I'm like Heaney's velocity's down. He's not throwing 93, 94. And my dad was like, no, he always is throwing on that. No, he hasn't. He's throwing 89 to 91 right now.
Yeah, that's down.
And they've talked about this. They want his velocity to be higher, so maybe he just doesn't sound right. He doesn't sound the way he's talking. It just go to the injured list. Go take a couple weeks to rest and. Scherzer will be coming back in a few weeks. That was a report today from Bruce Bochy that Scherzer may be 2 weeks away from pitching in the majors. I don't know if it was 2 weeks from a rehab assignment or 2 weeks from pitching in the majors. If it's 2 weeks from pitching in the majors, that means he'll probably start his rehab assignment either over the weekend and if they send him to Frisco, I mean, we're pretty close to Frisco.
I'll go with you.
Yeah,
I'll go with you.
I'm down to go see Max Scherzer. And, I have my joke. I don't know if I sent this to you. I know I sent it to my dad where it was, all right, kid, welcome to Double A. It's really fun up here. Congratulations. You tore it up in high A for us, and we're hoping you can get to the major league level, pretty soon. Oh yeah, coach. Well, I just want to let you know that you're going to be in the starting lineup today. You're going to be starting in left field. And all right, coach. Well, Skip, who's starting for the Rough Riders today? Max Scherzer. What? Just a future Hall of Famer, 2-time World Series champion. What has he won? 3 Cy Youngs? 4? Let me check on that. I know he won 2 with Washington, and he may have won 1 with Detroit.
The other day it was when it was the space like Sugarland versus Frisco.
Verlander.
It was Verlander versus Nathaniel Lowe, and it's like if you go to that game, you're essentially saying an MLB matchup, and you are saying an MLB matchup, but it's it's pretty cool to see.
He did win 1 in Detroit, won 1 in 13, and I know he went back to back in 16 and 17.
So just 3.
Yeah, just 3. Just
3. Yeah,
just 3.
Just 3.
I mean, but Max Scherzer, Mad Max, it's going to be. I will definitely go to that game in Frisco. I mean, it's just going to be kind of funny to watch him maybe beat up on some minor league talent. But even then, rehab assignments don't mean you don't look at the numbers because Michael Lorenzen did not look good in his rehab assignments. Then he goes out there. What was it? Monday, throws 5 innings.
Yeah, he was great.
Was really. I mean, the walks killed him, but the 4 walks were a problem. But other than that, he looked phenomenal. So it's like, okay, well, this rehab assignments don't work as much because it's Max Scherzer. He'll always be an intense competitor, but he's not going full regular season game in Arlington level of intensity. So we get him back towards the end of April here, early May. then your rotation, what looks like Evaldi, Gray, Lorenzen, Dunning, and then Scherzer.
Yeah.
Maybe
Where's Leiter fit in?
Maybe Leiter may just be hey, you're here till Scherzer gets here. You don't want to be mean to Leiter for saying that, but I'm not. I will say this: I am not expecting him to stay very long, and I think they've let him know that look, we're not calling you up for you to be here long term. That'll probably be next year. You're here this year. You're going to be kind of our fill-in starter when we need a guy, and it gets you a chance to be in the big leagues without being stressed out that you're here to stay. Right? You can kind of go out there and just pitch and just throw your game knowing that you're not going to be here, right? So just go out there and let it rip, right? That's what I'm expecting. Now, he may go out there and let it rip and Dunning gets hurt or Gray gets hurt, and then here comes Scherzer. So you never know with pitcher injuries, as we've seen already with the Rangers. You don't know with injuries. You don't know who's going to be performing well, who's not. Maybe Dunning has a blister on his toenail. I don't know. You can I don't say you can make up an injury, but oh no, Scherzer, Dunning has a sore shoulder. He needs 2 weeks on Bradford's out. Bradford, had some back tightness, it sounded, or soreness. So when does he come back? And who does he take? This thing is,
DeGrom in August.
In Malley, I could see the Rangers going to a 6-man rotation for most of the season. Not because because you have too many guys, but B, you have a lot of guys with arm problems. So that extra day of rest may really come in handy for when you have DeGrom, Evaldi. Hopefully, if Evaldi's not having any injuries, then he may get fatigued. It's very possible, right? Same thing with Scherzer. Same thing with Malley. Same thing with Gray. Same thing with Dunning. And so whatever the Rangers' plans are, we'll see. I could be a little bit surprised. I could not be. We'll see. But it'll be cool to see Jack Leiter. And it sounds like Nathaniel Lowe may join us. I bet you what they're going to do is probably have him join us in Atlanta. I don't see the point in bringing him back for one game in Detroit. Because it'd be, all right, fly to Detroit, and then we're going to fly right back to Atlanta. So I just say, here, you go to Atlanta, we'll meet you there. That's what I'm expecting with Nathaniel Lowe. But, hopefully the Rangers can kind of get back to more winning as they're kind of playing they're playing 500 ball right now. Almost had a bullpen masterclass today. But
it was Josh Smith.
It was Josh Smith because my phone came up Wenzel. So
I saw it too. It says 6'4". So
I guess pinch hitter.
And it wasn't 6'4". Yeah, Josh Smith was a pinch hit.
So football, not much going on in football other than, hey, guess what's next week, everybody? The draft. A week from tomorrow, the NFL first round, and then a week from Friday is second round. So we'll be live for both of those nights. And again, like I've said, I'm not going to subject Chase and Seth to day 3 because by 2:00 you are ready to go home.
I will be there though.
It is very exciting. I've actually just hit 200 on my board, and now to be fair, a lot of those
little golf clap.
Clap. Thank you. A lot of those aren't actually. When I say true evaluation, true evaluation for me is you look at the numbers and you look at the player on film. A lot of them have been a lot of the UDFA guys. I can't watch 500 players. Like I don't have the time for that right now.
Yeah.
So a lot of the UDFA guys, I look at the numbers, maybe, and a lot of them I knew who they were. Or because there's so many guys, like Mike Nowitzki, who's a center from Kansas. I watched Dominic Pooney who's their left tackle. Well, if I'm watching the offensive line, the center may jump out to me a couple of times. So I got to see him just a little smidge, right? So again, it's a little bush league here, but it works. So yeah, I have narrowed it down. I have the 500 on there. So now we're in that getting them all sorted stage and watching the last players we need to watch. But all the quarterbacks are sorted. Yeah, it's crunch time.
It's fun.
It's a lot of fun. And the draft, it's one of those things that you do. You put in, I think I did a calculation. I probably put somewhere between 300 and 500 hours into this every year, probably somewhere in that range. And so, you put that work in, then draft day is like Christmas.
Right.
It's a lot of fun. So we will see you guys next Wednesday. Next Wednesday will be Mock Draft 4.0. It'll probably be a very long episode because you'll be Ranger stuff. You'll be, which usually takes some minutes. It'll be Mavericks, heat of the playoff run. Stars, heat of the playoff run. Then you have Mock 4.0.
Which is our actual
actual last, like, what we think is going to happen. Now you watch what's going to happen is, draft day. Oh, and 3 trades happened, and everyone's mocks are screwed.
I'm not going to be doing a lot of trades. You just can't predict this. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that you think, like, yeah, the Cardinals could trade down. Stuff that could happen, but you just can't predict everything that happens.
The thing with the draft is what I've always... you're playing, pin the tail on the donkey, but you're doing it, completely blind, and you don't even know what room you're in your house. I mean, that's, here, pin the tail on the donkey, and the donkey is somewhere on the globe, and you have a blindfold. That's kind of what it's like trying to, pick out trades, because they're going to happen. There's probably going to be several trades. It could be a big trading year. When you have 6 quarterbacks rumored to go day one, there's going to be a lot of trades happening. The Vikings are probably going to... I know the Vikings are going to trade up, but I just don't know with who. And so I don't want to project that. So I just kind of pretend that they don't trade. So, and then once we get to draft day, it'll be, when they do trade up, well, Brady, who are they trading up for? Well, probably this guy, probably such and such. Yeah. So we will definitely see. For the Cowboys, again...
Royce Freeman.
Offensive line. All right, Royce Freeman. Yay. There's much rejoicing amongst the lands. Yeah, I'm kind of looking for offensive line here.
I'm with you.
Amarius Mims, sure. Hey, maybe you get obviously Jackson Powers Johnson. We talked about there could be a medical issue, maybe not. We don't know.
There's a report on A.D. Mitchell about diabetes or something like that, and talking about, which I don't think might not be a huge deal. Hopefully,
no.
But there's just talks about, do you want to take with the sugar and everything? So there was a report on it.
Sugar can be weird.
Yeah.
My number one option that's realistic is Graham Barton. That's my number one. You take him. Me and you are leaping for joy on draft night. It sounds like they're going to go best player available, which I'm okay with because but you have needs. You have to address those needs. Right now, there's nobody to snap the ball to Dak, and there's no one to protect his left side. And it sounds like if you don't get CD's contract, he has no number one receiver. So, you got to fix.
There will be linemen drafted. There will be receivers drafted. There probably might be a running back drafted. You would assume so.
I mean, maybe now that you signed Royce Freeman, I don't think you have to invest in that position day 2. I know that sounds kind of weird, but Freeman strikes me as a Ronald Jones thing. Maybe he makes a roster.
Right.
At worst case scenario, he's just a camp body. Right. Best case scenario, he cracks your roster. I don't know. But the rumor is, and what I definitely see is happening, is that Jonathan Brooks at, 54? Is that what our pick is? Something like that? 56? Jonathan Brooks in the second round for the Cowboys. It's just because our doctor did his surgery. It makes sense. You need a running back. Because right now, you don't have a starter. I like Rico Dowdle. But and I like Deuce Vaughn. And I like Royce Freeman. But none of those 3 guys are number 1 running back. So unless you want to have 3 different guys have 400 rushing yards in a season and that be your running back, that's fine. But I still would like to get a guy, whether you get him in the 7th, you have those 2 back-end 7th round picks, whether you go get someone, maybe you trade up in the 4th for one, maybe, yeah. I don't know. The draft's going to be very intriguing. This is a better draft than last year. There's more talent. I've talked about this, that when you get into that second round, pretty much everybody in the second round, you can interchange. I mean, I'm agonizing on these rankings. And same thing in the 3rd round. I'm kind of agonizing over where to put guys, just because one day I kind of feel like he's better, the next day I feel like the other guy's better.
Yeah.
So it's just, and once in my cutoff for tinkering with my board is before the first pick is announced. I will tinker with my board until I try to get it done Wednesday night. But sometimes you wake up on Thursday and you just wake up on a certain side of the bed and you think this guy's better. It happens. But ladies and gentlemen, this has been a bit of a longer episode. And
sorry for the interruption. I don't know how it's going to sound on the...
Again, yeah, we don't know how that's going to work. But we will talk to you guys next week, and next week will be another humongous episode with a lot to talk about. Yep. And then we get you guys for 3 straight days. We get everybody for the podcast on Wednesday night, and then we got Thursday night, the draft. We'll probably be live...
And there'll be call-ins,
somewhere between 6:30 and 6:45, so somewhere between 15 and 30 minutes before the draft. The problem was that last year we did it 30 minutes before, and we were kind of sitting here just antsy waiting for the draft to start.
Yeah.
So we may not do it like that. I may do it. We may do it where it's more 10 to 15 minutes before the draft. I still don't know how the setup's going to look, but we will see. I'm going to that entire day pretty much for me just going to be with the guys at Chilton Hall and just kind of seeing how it's all going to play out. But we will talk to you guys next week.